right.
All right, welcome to episode 39 of the Sundowners Golf Club podcast. I am your host, Giovanni, and I'm here with my co-host, Matt Colwell. Matt, how about that weekend?
Whoa. Whoa. It was quite the weekend for me, buddy. Quite the weekend.
You talking about Team USA beating Norway in the men's curling event?
Honestly, I'm surprised that you hit the nail on the head so accurately. That's exactly what I was talking about.
No, of course, this, aside from the Olympics, could probably talk a lot about that too. But obviously, if you are living under a rock, then you may not be aware of the fact that Anthony Kim, AK himself, has finally done it. He has his first win in something like 5,000 something days, 5,795 days since he last won the Houston Open on the PGA Tour. That was done at LIV Adelaide, which we'll talk a lot about. Just a really, really, really cool thing for the game of golf. So we'll talk a lot more about that. And on the other side of the tours was the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Colin Morikawa ends up winning in kind of a bit of a shootout between a handful of names that had a chance coming down the stretch. Of course, Scotty Scheffler being one of them. So where do you want to start? Do we want to kick this thing off with some Anthony Kim talk, Matt?
Yeah, why not? Let's start there, buddy.
Okay, so I want to start with not specifically Anthony Kim, but I want to talk about LIV Adelaide. Okay, because this is an event that as long as LIV has been around, it has been kind of their keystone event. It's the event that every single time from the first time they started playing there has been an absolute banger. It's such a fun golf event to watch. Obviously, the people there love being there. The Aussies are such great golf fans. So it's just this event alone is so fun to tune into. And for Anthony Kim to win this particular event, I think just heightens it so much more than simply a really cool comeback story. What do you feel about LIV Adelaide?
I kind of feel the same way about it as you just said. I guess I find myself, well, maybe it's because it's near the beginning part of the golf season, but I think the most LIV golf I've watched over the last couple of years has oddly enough been LIV Adelaide. And then this year was by far the best one yet in LIV's. I think that this is easily LIV's best event of their lifespan. I don't know if another one, and it's because of Anthony Kim. It's gonna be really hard to top this one. It's gonna take a lot to top this one.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's kind of just goes to show that if you pick good venues, pick good markets, it doesn't really matter who's playing or what they're playing, right? It's going to become a good event if you have the right people and can build the right atmosphere. And they just kind of have the recipe for it down at LIV Adelaide. So I just want to give a shout out to that event. That's a cool event. Before we get too much into it, just a quick look at the leaderboard on the team side. I think it's worth mentioning because Ripper GC, the hometown heroes, Elvis Smiley coming off of his first win and his maiden LIV Tour event last week. They end up winning 55 under. So just kind of cool that Ripper is able to show up and win their home event. Quite frankly, the rest of the team stuff, not terribly moving to me. Legion 13 and the Four Aces coming up second and third. Maybe it is worth mentioning that the Majestics got last place by 9 strokes. I don't know what Ian Poulter's up to. Fireballs are cooling off a little bit. They're not quite as hot as they've been. Second to last there. And then, of course, Mike Cleeks, poor Richard Bland. He's just got the Martin Keimer anchor on his team right now. So those are the team standings for LIV Adelaide. And then, as we mentioned, Anthony Kim ends up winning, shooting 9 under in the final round 4.
Bogey free. 9 under.
Yeah, bogey free 9 under, and he's going directly toe to toe with guys like John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Tyrrell Hatton. Okay, so those are that's your top four. So it's not like, I guess hand up, right? We can kind of pick and choose what live events we care about, what live wins mean something, and what live wins don't. Um, I just think for a guy specifically like Anthony Kim, we'll talk about his story, but I don't know that it really matters where he wins. Like, we're all going to be pumped about it, but when you immediately look at the leaderboard and it's the two guys that we always talk about as being the guys that we wish were on the PGA Tour because of how relevant they are in the game of golf, and Anthony Kim comes over and laps him, shooting 9 under, while DeChambeau shoots 2 over and John Rahm shoots 1 under in the final round.
Well, before we get too far into the Anthony Kim thing, because I have a lot to say about it in a broader sense than just him winning a golf tournament. I want to touch on John Rahm's drop, the TIO.
His TIO. He was getting booed by the fans for it.
We have to change that rule, man. That has to get. I understand that he's playing within the rules, so he's not cheating. But, and you and I think have talked about it before. If there's grandstands behind the green and everywhere else is danger, like, they're just going to smash it into the grandstands behind the green, knowing that they're going to get a good bounce or get TIO. Like, we have to do something. We have to, because to go from no chance in hell to being able to just pitch one up onto the green and then dunk it, that can't happen. Sorry. There has to be some sort of penalty to putting your ball there.
Yeah. I mean, how many times does this happen on any tour, really, right? And you said it, it's not cheating, but the thing is, I'm not going to call anybody a cheater in this particular moment. This is not the example to use for that. But broadly speaking, when we're talking about rulings on professional golf tours or really golf in general, there is a huge amount of bias that goes towards the players when it comes to these interactions. It's very much unlike a lot of other sports. For example, let's talk about hockey, right? That's my other sport. People yell at the refs all the time, and refs in a sport like hockey, a sport like football, they're making their call and you're not changing their mind, right? Whereas in golf, there's just like always this kind of two-way dialogue, and it kind of feels like the ref is trying to find like an avenue for the players in most rulings. I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but it just kind of makes me think like what would we even expect to change in this, right? Like, do we really expect there to be a rule that would eliminate this option for the players, when really everything we know about the rules and the way they're enforced at professional level, it just kind of gives the bias and errors towards the side of the players? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that we can make a rule for anything. I think it should be obvious that the players are utilizing this as leverage to eliminate real penalty. Now, are they out there dunking their drop? No, but we can just make a rule that more of these places where they're getting TIO are just penalty areas, right? Like,
Yeah.
Hey guys, from here on out, we're going to scoot the penalty area 18 inches from grandstands. So if you hit it inside 18 inches with, to the grandstands, that's a penalty drop.
Yeah.
You don't get a free drop anymore. If you hit it into the maintenance area that exists, that you can see from the tee box, it's there. If you hit it into that, I don't care that it's a temporary maintenance area, you get a penalty. Like, this isn't hard. Like, we're not trying to calculate firing a rocket to the moon. we're eliminating players from using loopholes. Like you see it in not as much NASCAR, but F1, right? Every year teams that spend a bunch of money have found a loophole and they get to use the loophole that season, right? But then the next season they eliminate it. The most recent famous one was, the rear wing wasn't allowed to flex under a certain amount of weight. That they test. They hang a weight on the rear wing, and if it moves a certain amount, you're cheating. Well, they developed a way to lay the carbon fiber in such a way that when they test the wing with the weight, it doesn't flex at all. But then they know when wind hits it, it's hitting at a different angle and is able to twist the wing so they can get different downforce, right? So everybody knew that was quite the loophole, right? And they admitted, like, this is exactly how they did it. They said exactly how they did the thing. And the next year, the FIA bans it. Like, just ban it.
I have a psychotic idea. So what if, okay, so part of my psychotic idea is this. I think it's pretty rare that whenever I've seen these things happen in real life when I'm watching on TV, it's rare that the player knows like what's going on, right? They're not like, this is TIO and I get to drop 80 yards over there. Like usually it's a discussion and the ref says, well, I guess your nearest place to drop is over there. And the player's like, oh yeah, sweet, I get to go drop it over there. What if the refs just stopped engaging? Like the refs aren't there as consultants anymore. They're just there to referee and monitor. So they have a ref on every hole and they're watching John Rahm sit there, scratch his head like, oh man, I think this is TIO, but I don't actually know where to drop. So I'm either going to take a drop and the ref's going to blow his whistle on me when I take a bad drop and give me a 2-stroke penalty, or I'm just going to hit it and give like a benefit to the people that actually know the rules. And we don't have player advocates out there enforcing the rules. We just have refs standing there with a whistle, like that Key and Peele skit when he's doing the triple pump. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so we got a ref standing there as John Rahm's trying to figure out, all right, do I take TIO? If I take TIO, I don't actually know where my drop is. So do I risk taking a bad drop? And the second, pretend like this is happening and John Rahm drops his ball. The second he drops it and it's a bad drop, the ref just blows his whistle. Beep, penalty, 2-stroke penalty. You got to go play from where the ball was before. That way, because my biggest gripe here is that's what these refs are. They're just kind of player advocates, and like they're trying to kind of coerce or like shove or kind of like coddle these players into understanding the rules and using them to their advantage. Right? That comes up a lot when we talk about golf rules. And if a player knows how to use them to their advantage, great, go ahead. But I don't think officials should be out there guiding them. And I could be totally wrong. Maybe John Rahm took this drop, knew where to drop it, didn't have any influence from a rules official. But I'm not sure that that's happening very often.
I have a crazier one.
Okay.
How about when they're setting up the course, they walk it and they're like, we have to understand where all the TIOs are. And as soon as they're identified, they just place white stakes on the inside part of it and then move to the next hole.
Yeah. What you're getting at is, we should just remove these stupid rules that don't exist for amateurs, but they exist for the best players in the whole wide world. That's a bizarre concept. Plus, it would absolutely speed up play, right? You hit a ball in the OB, which used to be considered this weird area that you could potentially get TIO or potentially not. Just put a white stake there, call it out of bounds. These guys are really stinking good.
Well, we talk one of the this is kind of an adjacent conversation, but an ongoing thing is rolling the golf ball back, right? And we keep talking about, if we didn't roll the golf ball back, what else are we going to do to keep from seeing minus 30 weekends? And the main one is tighten up the fairways and let the rough grow. Right, that's one of the most popular pushes. Well, we could also just penalize the guys for blasting their ball into the stratosphere and coming nowhere close to being in bounds. Like, we just don't need loopholes. It's a video game. See that barrier? If your ball disappears beyond that little barrier, it's gone. We're done.
Yep. Now, we'll see. We'll see. In reality, TIO will always be a thing. I mean, speaking of John Rahm and TIO, maybe not TIO, but I can't remember what tournament it was last year, but he blasts a ball on a par five way right and it rolls off the top of a grandstands and then ends up like 4 feet from the hole and makes eagle. He's not unfamiliar with these types of breaks. But hey, you know what? Let's move on from this because we're the thing that we were most excited to talk about, the thing that our group chat was completely blowing up about, the thing that was like the most talked about thing in the golf world was Anthony Kim getting a win. And Matt, can you just do your best to explain to, let's say, somebody that maybe didn't know who Anthony Kim was? Can you do your best to explain why this matters so much? Like, why is this so exciting to us?
So I think it's unique to your and I's generation of golf fan. I think it's a unique experience. So in the height of Tiger Woods being dominant, we had this guy that stood out, right? Tiger Woods stood out compared to all of his fellow golfers, right? Aside from being dominant, right? He had this swagger about him. And we just hadn't seen it. It wasn't something we were used to seeing. And it was fun. That was one of the things that made us fall in love with Tiger Woods. Well, 2006 comes around, right? So Tiger Woods is well established. And we get another young guy. Anthony Kim comes onto the scene. And he has that swagger that Tiger has. He's not the same golfer Tiger is, but he just has this energy and he's fun and he celebrates different and he walks up the fairways different. He blasts balls out of the bunker and just goes crazy, right? Like he had this different thing that was just tangible. You and I have talked about this before. When it comes to golf, it's hard to put your finger on why you root for certain guys. And Anthony Kim was this guy where it's just like you liked him or you didn't like him. But guess what? He was Anthony Kim every weekend. And we loved it. And not to mention he was pretty dang good, right? So in what do I have pulled up? In 2020, or in his career in majors, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top 20s. Okay. That's good. That's good golf. From 2006 to 2011, that's how many top 20s he had. Okay, so no major wins. He had 3 career wins. What we didn't know was happening is that he started to gain popularity as he unfortunately became addicted to drugs and alcohol. And I think when you've been on the earth for 30 years, you have come across at least one person you know well that has struggled with some sort of drug abuse, alcohol abuse. And then another thing that's tied to that is depression. And so we didn't know that this was happening. But Anthony Kim, through the height of his career, was really going through it. Was really, really going through it. Is using on the golf course. I've read stories that he was using at Augusta National. Right. So he's so, caught up in this that he can't even go play a golf tournament or make it through 18 holes without using. And he continues to play pretty decent golf, but come 2000, I think it was 12, he's not doing well. Cut, DQs, miscuts, withdraws, and ends up leaving golf with an injury. And we don't see Anthony Kim again. And you and I have kind of talked about Anthony Kim when we first started the podcast and what we thought of him going to LIV and what that looked like. And in that window where he was gone, it was just kind of a rumor. He was kind of this myth. There was I remember seeing like Instagram sightings, like fuzzy gray silhouetted shots of somebody at a Top Golf. And you're like, that is a pretty sick swing. Is it really Anthony Kim? Is he in public? Like, I heard he was doing this or I heard he was doing that. He just kind of was off the map. And we didn't really know what was going on. And 2024 comes, and we quickly realize what he had been going through. I don't think a lot of people in the mainstream golf world quite understood yet the gravity of what he was struggling with, but extreme depression and was, I mean, stricken with addiction. I mean, so bad. I think we all know now that he had to be helped to walk into his rehab facility to get clean. And so you have a guy who's, I mean, he's quit, right? He doesn't think he's worth much. He was lucky enough to have a wife that stuck around, and he gets through rehab and he commits to just getting it right. And I don't know if we quite knew how close to him joining LIV to his sobriety was, but you know, he talks about 2 years sober. Guys, it's 2026. He was on LIV on 2024. So when we started seeing him around, he was either just now sober or wasn't actually on the sober train completely yet. And LIV gives him an opportunity. And I think we can be critical. This is a different topic. I think you can still be critical of LIV Golf for going and grabbing Anthony Kim. I think that that's something you're still allowed to criticize. He hadn't done anything. Why would they go grab him? But what Anthony Kim did is he took an opportunity that I think a lot of people would agree he hadn't earned. And he made them look good by doing what he did this last weekend. 2024, 2025, didn't do anything for LIV, not a thing, and had to go play in the, what do they call it? The promotions event, because he wasn't in LIV anymore. He was gone. He was relegated. He was done. And he qualifies. And Patrick Reed leaves LIV. There's an opening on the Four Aces. DJ brings him on. And I remember we were kind of mentioning Anthony Kim was looking pretty good, you know, on Friday and Saturday. And I don't think anybody had any thought that he was going to do what he did on Sunday.
Right.
I'd call you crazy if you're like, oh, I predicted that. But he's standing on the tee box, and all the stories is, oh, we get to watch John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau, you know, square off. Like, this is amazing. This is the LIV event that we're looking for. And Anthony Kim just starts quietly dominating. And there was that stretch on the back nine. And I'm checking my phone, by the way, at a concert. I'm at a concert, like refreshing my chats and refreshing the LIV leaderboard, watching this and watching you and AVL and other group chats just go off about Anthony Kim. And he goes, was it 4 birdies in a row? 12, 13, 14, and 15, I believe. Throwing darts and draining putts. And he wins it. He wins this thing. And outside of just winning a golf tournament, right? I said all of what I said there just to say, like, that was the culmination. That was the exclamation point on watching a man, like, get one of the darkest, scariest monkeys off of your back. I've watched his post-round interview, and to tell you that I don't get emotional listening to him talk would be a lie. You know, I've watched him walking down the 18th fairway, I don't know, 150 times at this point. And I text you, I talked to Jared. It's like, is there anything cooler than watching a golfer walk down the 18th fairway with an entire crowd walking directly behind him? Like, this is a unique to golf visual that I don't know if you can compare to any other sport, right? Like, you can see a picture from the greatest Super Bowl ever, but if you don't know football, it's just going to look like a picture of a football game. But you see a picture of Tiger Woods coming down the 18th, or Anthony Kim, like, in this swarm of humans, you know that that's different.
Yeah.
And they were doing it for Anthony Kim, this guy that we kind of thought was a joke the first couple of years he was on LIV. And hand up, I was critical of it. But I'll tell you what, I'm sold, man. Like knowing his story and seeing him overcome all this, I want nothing but the best for that guy.
So, Juan, that was incredibly well said. The only thing I want to add is to kind of specify a certain time period as to why I think this is such a fun, important, special win, and it's so great for the game of golf. Is you alluded to the criticism going towards Liv for bringing up Anthony Kim. So as you said, Anthony Kim was MIA for years. You know, he took this major medical leave, the rumor was that he cashed out some sort of insurance settlement, which meant he couldn't
Yep.
play professional golf anymore. So after that, nobody heard anything from him. Of course, there were stories, right? Ideas, guesses as to what he was up to. Usually, it was related to drugs, alcohol, and strippers, but nobody knew. And when he comes back with Liv, it kind of felt like a joke. Like it kind of felt like Anthony Kim's kind of the clown, right? They bring him in because everybody loves Anthony Kim, right? They were so curious what's going on with Anthony Kim, and when he started playing on Live and really just didn't have much game compared to other professionals, right? Obviously, he's a beautiful golfer, but you could tell his game wasn't there, and it kind of just felt sad. I guess you know, as a fan, you're like, okay, the Anthony Kim experiment was fun and all, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I love this. And for him to get relegated and then earn his way on, which essentially closes the door to the people like me who are saying the reason Liv doesn't get full on OWGR points is because they don't have a qualifying system. And Anthony Kim was my example, right? That's my example of, well, you don't have to actually qualify. They brought Anthony Kim. Um, so then he answers that door by qualifying at their promotion event. So he earned his way on fair and square. And then for this last weekend, for him to not only win fair and square, he wins at arguably the biggest, most popular, and most well enjoyed event on the Live Tour, right in the face of John Rahm and DeChambeau. Really made it special. Well, I do want to highlight his post round press conference. I got a couple transcripts or quotes pulled up here. A couple of them that I just think are worth highlighting. So he was asked about his daughter Bella and his wife Emily. This was kind of a continuation of a conversation he was having with some podcasters that were asking him questions. But he says, obviously, when Bella was born, Emily and my life changed. Emily being his wife, he says, but to be able to share this moment, even though Bella won't understand it, one day she will. And for her, she'll be able to run on the green and see her dad isn't a loser, was one of the most special moments of my life. That particular comment, him saying, like, the thing that makes him most proud is that she's not going to think he's a loser, I think kind of opens up the curtains to some of the stuff he's been dealing with in his life, right? Like, I'm not perfect, and I didn't make $12 million on the PGA Tour, and but I don't think that at any phase of my daughter's life I've ever been worried about her thinking I'm a loser. Like, that's never crossed my mind. Um, but obviously, that's a thing that's crossed Anthony Kim's mind. Is at a certain point he thought of himself as a loser, and he needed to win this tournament to justify to himself that he's not a loser. And he's trying to prove it to his daughter. And I just find that a pretty moving comment, right? Like, I think a lot of us would say, well, no, dude, you're not a loser. You got an awesome golf game. You've won 3 times on the PGA Tour. Sure, you've been through this, that, and the other. We all have friends who have dealt with this, that, and the other. Um, it's a crazy quote, and it's just kind of a peek behind the curtains of some of the stuff he's been going through for the last decade or two. And then another soundbite or another clip I want to share. They're talking about how long it's been since he's won on tour, and they're talking about what is he going to say to his daughter in the future about what this event means and this win means. And Anthony Kim says, I'm going to try to leave a lot of details out, but I will tell her that before she came into this world, I didn't feel any purpose in my life. Whether you have a lot of money, whether you have a lot of success in your life, you can still feel lonely and feel like the world is against you. And that's in your own mind, because I had a lot of people rooting for me. obviously you saw out there how many people were rooting for me, but I just want her to know that no matter how bad your day is, if you keep fighting, you never lose. It's getting goosebumps as I'm saying it right now. It just this he's acknowledging exactly what he's been going through. He even said it himself. He had a lot of people on his side, but he still felt like he had no purpose. Again, this is a guy that I know money's not everything, but I mean, he had the dream life, right? Like, so many people would probably voluntarily change lives with him if you go back to that 2006 to 2011 time frame when he's had 6 top 20s in majors and 3 PGA Tour wins. I mean, that's the life, right? And obviously he was facing some demons and wasn't able to find a purpose despite that. So it all this to be said is just it's such a cool moment for the game of golf, for fans of the sport. I know for me, it's just crazy, crazy, crazy to go from me wishing we could just go back to the days when Anthony Kim was just a kind of a fun lore of the game of golf to now him winning and me wanting more of it. I want more of it. I want him on the PGA Tour. I want to see him playing in majors. I want Phil Mickelson's tweet to come to fruition, because this is truly the best chapter of the Anthony Kim story so far.
So this is all he's played on Live now. So I guess I don't know what his association with the PGA Tour is anymore. If he wanted to come back, would it be akin to Patrick Reed's suspension, or what would that look like, right? So Patrick Reed comes back in August. Theoretically speaking, if he wanted to come back, and I don't know if he wants to, but do you know what that requires?
Man, I don't. I think I wish I knew more about this kind of rumor of why he left the tour to begin with and what the insurance payout meant. If that were true, here's how much money you get, but you can no longer earn money on the PGA Tour. Like, was that the stipulation? Does this mean he just can't play on the PGA Tour specifically, or is that just no longer applicable? Like, maybe it was just pro golf. I don't know. I could picture him getting a sponsor's exemption after seeing how this unfolded to one of the majors or potentially a PGA Tour event. I don't know. But this is kind of like I've been looking for the tweet here. I think it was a Monday Q info tweet about the PGA Tour making a special exemption for people that have won 3 times on tour between the years 2006 and 2011 and recently won their first live event at LIV Adelaide, so that he could come back to the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I saw that one. That one gave me a good chuckle.
Yeah. Which, I mean, just like you and I were saying, like that's what they should be doing, right? It doesn't matter what these exemptions look like. If they got a guy they want, make a path for him. Just create it, make it up. It doesn't even matter. And who knows, man? I mean, maybe if you're Anthony Kim, at this point, it doesn't matter why Liv brought you on, right? Like we can say it was for publicity, for marketing, for whatever, and we can say it was in bad taste. But if you're Anthony Kim, I'm not leaving that tour, not anytime soon, right? Like, there's a reason he had a chance to win, no matter what the intentions were, and he was able to capitalize on that opportunity, and that opportunity was given to him by Live Golf. I think if you're Anthony Kim, PGA Tour is a take it or leave it thing, man. Sure, I'll play in the majors, but I'm a Live guy if I'm Anthony Kim.
I mean, you have a good point. I still I was kind of playing with how I thought about this. Maybe in my own defense, I don't know, because I was critical of this. I was like, what are we doing? And I said on this podcast, I was like, watching him play on Live, I kind of wish he just stayed just being a ghost. Like, I didn't like watching him suck on TV. I just didn't enjoy that. That wasn't fun for me. And so I think we're allowed to be super stoked for Anthony Kim and root for him. and saying at the same time, look at Liv and go, what were you thinking? Like, surely there was 10 other guys that may have been a better pick, like would have been better, a quality golfer on this tour than Anthony Kim. Like, there's no way that anybody on Liv was like, guys, I'm telling you, we're buying low here, but Anthony Kim's gonna be the guy in 2 years and change. There's no way.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they weren't, right? Like, nobody would have guessed this. They weren't picking him because they thought he was going to, have a comeback. They picked him because they wanted to draw eyeballs to the TV at any cost. Now, up until he earned $4 million this week, he made $2.8 million on Live in 2 years. And so that was kind of the price that they paid. And I guess in a way they look like geniuses now, right? Like Liv wins in this. But that's the price they had to pay to get there, was essentially paying him out $2.8 million to be kind of a no-show on the tour. And then he earns his way back on, and now it's like a who's laughing moment. So my point is, the PGA Tour isn't bringing him on to do this, right? Like, he's not gonna. He didn't even have the chance to do it on the PGA Tour because he would have had to play his way on. And I don't know that his game was there. I don't even know if it is there, but he won, by golly, right? He beat a lot of these other names of guys that we really, really, really wish we had on the PGA Tour.
It's I don't know if I've said it on here or even talked to you about it, but I think at times it would be cool to see a guy that we feel has the game have to go through the whole process, right? Like, go play on the Corn Ferry Tour and just qualify how it is today. Like, this is the path you have to take. You have to go on the Corn Ferry Tour. You have to, a Monday qualifier, whatever it is. It'd be kind of interesting to see a guy like him, or heck, even Patrick Reed. It would have been kind of fun to watch Patrick Reed have to go through the Corn Ferry Tour process.
I think we're watching it right now, honestly. I mean, with Patrick Reed. Sorry to interrupt you, but the guy hasn't even been allowed to play on the PGA Tour, and he's moved his way up to top 17 in the world.
Yeah, but he's not playing he's playing on the DP World Tour, which I would be offended if I thought you were even accidentally comparing the Corn Ferry Tour to the DP World Tour. I don't think that's happening.
But you know what I'm saying, right? We're just watching. Like, if we never heard of Patrick Reed and his name was Seth Michaels, and we're like, oh, who's this Seth Michaels guy? He's been playing all these Asia Tour events, and he's all of a sudden 17th in the world. Like, we'd be like, oh, that's pretty crazy, and I will see him in the majors. But like, it's Patrick Reed. He's having like a career resurgence. I know it's different than what you're talking about, but it's a little bit what we're seeing right now. Like, he's just proving that he belongs in ways that aren't just the PGA Tour.
Right. That's fair. I hear you.
No, I'm with you though. Like some of these guys who are career, like, they're not going anywhere. They have exemptions forever. It's like, do they still have it? Like, if we were to chuck them down to the Corn Ferry Tour for a month and a half, what would they come out looking like?
Right.
And in most cases, we'll never know, because like guys like Billy Horschel are never going to not have a spot on the PGA Tour.
Right. You're right.
And
I agree.
Sorry to Billy Horschel. It's just, he's catching strays here, but he'd probably be first, like top of the mind for me on who do you want to send down to the Corn Ferry to prove that they belong here still. It'd be him. It'd be, I don't know, Keith Mitchell.
Oh,
no, maybe not Keith. He's had a decent year. I'm trying to think of run of the mill Webb Simpson type guys. How about that? Yeah, we're gonna throw Webb Simpson in that mix.
All right.
What else do we have on Anthony Kim before we move on to the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am?
I think I've said it all. I think I told you in text. As I going through this home buying purchase, I'm already envisioning what my office podcast studio is going to look like. And, there's some artwork and golf related photography and things that I know that I want in there. And I'll be honest, the Anthony Kim walking down the 18th fairway before I know he's, just moments before he finalizes this win. That image has to go in there. I don't think I'll ever forget. And it's unfortunate. There's a lot of people out there, and I've seen it, are not pro Anthony Kim winning this tournament. There's a lot of hate. It's LIV hate. It's Anthony Kim, frankly, just straight up. They don't like Anthony Kim for whatever reason. And they just want to banish him to the, doldrums. And it's weird to me that you would root against somebody just turning their life around. That's just a weird feeling. It's like, hey, man, congrats, you're not addicted to drugs anymore, but you were addicted to drugs, so you should still be addicted and go away. Like, cool, man. Good job, I guess.
Yeah. I guess before we move on, I'm just gonna answer to that because I'm with you. It's a bizarre thing to try to bring someone down for. I think objectively speaking, it should always be celebrated if a person can make their way through addiction, drugs and alcohol and depression and come out winning on the professional level at any sporting event. I think that should always be celebrated. I think it's hard to say that this is anything but a feel good story. So if you're hating on Anthony Kim, just think about it. Take a step back. Think about friends, family, loved ones in your life. If any of them have dealt with depression, drugs, alcohol addiction, you name it, you should always be celebrating their victories, no matter how big or small they are. Anthony Kim's just happened to be massive. So let's move over to AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. This fits smack dab in the middle of a tournament that Matt Hansen cares nothing about. It's got two different golf courses. There's amateurs playing alongside professionals. So Matt Hansen's going to hate it. Matt, if you disagree, like, subscribe, comment down below, whatever we're supposed to say. No, this is an awesome event. Love this event. It's the first signature event of the year. Of course, Pebble Beach is the main character, as it always is when we're playing pro events here. Colin Morikawa ended up winning. Honestly, looking at this leaderboard, there's names on this leaderboard that I didn't even think had a chance. Like Tommy Fleetwood finishing T4. I don't know that he was ever really in the mix. Scotty Scheffler was tied for the lead at 19 under at some point. Ends up losing by 2. You had said they showed too much Sepp Straka, not enough Jake Knapp. Sepp Straka finished runner-up in this tournament.
Hold on.
One stroke. Let me keep going. Let me keep cooking. Cooking. We got Sam Burns, who's definitely in the mix. Akshay Bhatia. I'd say this was his tournament to lose going into it. He shoots even par on a Sunday to finish T6. Your guy, Jake Knapp, another strong week. Jacob Bridgman having some fun on 18 to fall down the leaderboard to T8. Rory McIlroy, T14, shooting 8 under on the last day. I mean, there were a lot of dogs barking in this thing, and Colin Morikawa wins for the first time since 2023 in a big way. What do you got, Matt? Where do you want to go?
Okay, first, what I was saying was in no way a shot at Sepp Straka. I am a Sepp Straka fan here. Let's be clear, okay? Pro Sepp Straka. The point I was making was that in his group, he's playing with Jake Knapp, and they were showing Sepp, which is fine. Show Sepp. But just stay on the hole and show Jake Knapp. They didn't show Jake until he was on his approach shot on 18. Like, what the heck? The last 8-9 holes, they showed him like maybe twice. And I just didn't get it. That was it. There was no Sepp Straka dislike here. I like Sepp. Right. But no, honestly, I kind of felt like at one moment, like, I don't even know who's going to win this. For a little bit, I was like, I think Minwoo Lee is going to pull this off. And then obviously I'm looking at the scoreboard going, I mean, Scotty's here, so probably Scotty. But Sam Burns with an interesting choice on 18 with an iron and puts it into the bunker. I don't know why we did that. Everybody else hit driver there. It was quite the run, but I'll be honest, This tournament, I'm kind of with Matt on it. Like, I don't. I'll say it this way. I paid more attention to this tournament simply because you, me, and AVL have a season-long bet going on. I paid attention to it for that reason and that reason only, because you're playing on multiple courses. There's no cut. It's a limited field, and they're playing next to amateurs. Like, I don't know. It's pretty, but they play Pebble Beach all the time, so it's not like I don't know. I don't get to not see it, and it's an opportunity. It's just they're playing Pebble Beach. I think aren't they playing Pebble Beach again later this year? Am I wrong?
I don't know if they are.
I think they might be. Looking at.
Let's take a quick look at the schedule. We're going to deviate for a moment, but next week we got Riviera, Genesis Invitational. I saw some clips of Riviera with some rivers running through the 18th green, so they've got some heavy rain there. We got the Cognizant Classic, Arnold Palmer, Puerto Rico Open, the Players, Valspar, Houston Open, Valero Texas Open, Masters, RBC Heritage, Miami Championship. Miami Championship. Is this a new one? This is at the Blue Monster. This is a signature event. Okay, we need to talk more about this. Anyhow, moving on. We got the Myrtle Beach Classic, a relatively new one. Truist PGA Championship. I'm just going to keep breezing right along. I'm not seeing it on here. The only other time, I shouldn't say the only other time, but when they play the U.S. Open there from time to time, last time I think was when Gary Woodland won. That would have been a year they played there twice.
Either way, my point is we get to see Pebble Beach all the time. It's I don't know. This tournament was fun because there were so many people in contention there at the end, and the weather was kind of wild. What was it, Saturday? It took something like 45 minutes for Akshay to drain his last putt.
Yeah, he went down swinging on that one too.
But I don't know. It was neat seeing Colin Morikawa. We've been kind of tough on Colin. On this podcast.
I've been very tough on Colin. I'll say I'm happy to see him win. But I especially winning in conditions like that, because it just kind of feels like he's one of those pampered golfers in a way. I know he had a really, really good stretch, won some major championships, and played like one of the best in the world, but he's been really quiet the last few years. And so maybe I'm happy to see him win, and hopefully he can kind of live up to his own name, I guess, moving forward. So one thing I haven't really paid a lot of attention to his golf game. One of the main things, like the hallmarks of his golf swing, is that really slow takeaway. He's got a fantastic golf swing, but his swing looks very different now than I last remember seeing it. He doesn't have that super slow takeaway. It's still slow, but did you notice anything different, or do you know anything about any differences in his golf swing?
To be honest, no. I didn't really give it any thought.
Okay. I was surprised to see how different it looked, unless I'm just become so unfamiliar with his swing that it looks brand new now. But I do want to highlight another name on here. We are the #1 Sammy Balamaki podcast, and so Sammy ends up finishing T34, 12 under for the week. He had 3 rounds in the 60s. Round 2, he ended up shooting 71, but another good week for him. Tough week for your guy Aaron Rai. Maybe not his best season so far. He finished pretty strong at the end of last year, but maybe it's something I'll admit I'm a little bit worried about him going into this year. So Aaron Rai 1 over for the week, T73, just off 5 off of last place. Who else do we got? Any other notables on here? Billy Horschel, T48. Just he's still playing in these signature events. Ludwig Aberg, T37, kind of smack dab in the middle. I saw some of the clips of his. He holed out for Eagle at some point. It really was a good week for him, other than his opening 75 on Thursday. So the signs of life from Ludwig. Chris Goddard up T37. We'll just call this a hangover week for him. I don't think this is even worth talking about for him. Anybody else worth mentioning on here?
I think you touched on all of them. Wyndham had a couple good weeks. Didn't really perform this week. I know you're a big fan of his.
He's won here before. He won here in
He,
24 when they just decided to not play the last round. He won after 54 holes.
we mentioned him a couple days ago, and he's on an interesting watch list of mine. And maybe in a couple weeks we circle back, but I'm just going to say it now. We haven't really seen much from JJ Spawn. I don't feel like maybe he hasn't played any tournaments yet. He's T45 this week. I'm going to pull it up right now. We kind of made a joke in passing on the phone last week, but what's he done that's decent? T40 missed cut. T40 at the Sony, missed the cut at Farmers Insurance at T45 this week. His putting is brutal. He missed at the Farmers Insurance Open. He lost 2.5 strokes putting alone and was a minus in approach shots. U.S. Open champ. He's on the what's going on there list. It's early. He's only played 3 tournaments. Well, 2.5. But I don't know.
Well, all right. So JJ Spawn, we're talking to you. You're on the clock. All right, buddy. We were talking about this recently on, I'm trying to remember who we were talking about that instigated it, but this kind of this idea that you might get this sort of imposter syndrome when you have only one major. And I know he was the one that kind of came top to mind for you. For me, it was Wyndham Clark. I think other guys you could think of would be maybe Jason Duffner, Webb Simpson, guys that only ever end up winning one major, and you kind of start to get uncomfortable in your own shoes almost, right? You get this certain level of success, you've reached the pinnacle, and then either it's, fans, media, yourself, your coach, your partner, whoever it is, they all kind of have this certain expectation now moving forward. And I think that's kind of a hard thing to do. So JJ Spawn is officially on the clock. We got our eye on you, buddy. Admittedly, I want to see you succeed. Okay. I want to see some wins out of you. I want that. I want everybody to remember you as the guy who won at the U.S. Open with that miraculous putt on 18. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. That's all I got for this tournament.
Okay. All right. You know what? I'm good with it too. It's sometimes it's hard to go down the list on these signature events without a cut, right? There's 70 to 80 players. What does T60 mean? What does T37 mean? Are you missing the cut in a normal event? Who knows? I think it's a good event. I think Pebble Beach is always worth tuning into. It's just got to be some of the best real estate on planet Earth. So
Dude,
I always get a kick out of watching that event.
Before we jet, we didn't talk about it last week. I don't believe. Do we want to talk about our purse race here? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we should. And I also we probably should have talked about it at the top here, but I do want to apologize to all of our listeners for last week's episode. It ended abruptly. I tuned in to kind of give a short 25-second explanation of what happened. I'll give the slightly longer explanation, but we are a completely self-produced podcast. It's just 2 schmucks that decided to do this fun thing, and it is a blast. And I'd say overall, we're doing okay. We're learning as we go. One thing that I'm not good at is troubleshooting. Okay, so I'm good when everything's working. When things aren't, when we go a little awry. So that's what happened last week. We found ourselves in a pickle that we couldn't get out of, and we decided let's just end it. Let's send what we sent, what we completed, and go live with it. So if there are any things that we can do better, especially if you know more about this stuff than us, let us know. Give us some tips. Give us some tricks. We're always looking to improve. So every once in a while, we'll have stuff like that happen. So bear with us. Matt, take it away. Where are we at? Have you updated our team standings with the AT&T?
I have updated them. So because we didn't talk about last week, I was going to run through the waste management winnings. So it was an interesting opportunity. AVL and I had all 5 of our golfers in the tournament. You had 1. So AVL, he has, to run through it again, he has Eric Cole, Austin Eckroat, Tom Hoagie, Rico Hoey, and Nick Dunlap. All but Rico Hoey missed the cut for our boy AVL. Rico Hoey was the only guy that saw the weekend, finished T24, and he added $84,960 to his season earnings. You only had 1 golfer, that was Sahith Theegala.
Mm-hmm.
So just a little heads up, Sahith Theegala right now is your breadwinner. But you actually have a lot of breadwinner. Well, pretty decent.
And you asked me if I was worried about him.
I did. I was. And I don't think I was wrong. I don't think I was wrong to say, what the heck are you? You picked him first overall.
Man, I'm not worried about him.
First.
I'm not.
And you know what's funny? The guy that I thought was going to be a consistent player for you was Luke Clanton. Do you know how many dollars he's earned you this year?
Hey, he's young. Yeah, give him
Just
time.
guess. How many dollars do you think Luke Clanton has gotten you this year?
I think he made like $24,000 in his first event.
0. He's earned you $0.
Golly. He's young. He'll learn.
Okay. So Sahith Theegala was T18, so he had a good week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he brought you $105,188.57. I had a big week. Well, decent week. Brooks Koepka and Vince Whaley missed the cut. I was kind of hoping a little bit more out of Brooks. He's getting warmed up. Max Homa, he had 3 really good days and then just absolutely kicked the bucket on Sunday.
Yeah.
He finished T66, $20,352. Christo Lamprecht, he put some money in the pot for the first time this season. Finished T48, $21,076.66. And my guy, Jake Knapp, finished solo 8, was worth $300,000 even. Now this week was kind of an off week, right? We just kind of talked about it. Another little fun thing. I didn't have this at the beginning, but I was just kind of curious. I'm tracking what percent of the total purse our 15 golfers earned that weekend.
Was this last weekend?
Over the Waste Management, our guys claimed 5.5% of the total purse.
Yeah, that's not so bad for a bunch of outside of the top 100 guys, except for Rico Hoey.
Right. So this week, obviously, a lot less players. AVL had Tom Hoagie and Rico Hoey. Rico Hoey finished T67 for $35,500. Tom Hoagie had a really great week for him. T14, $342,000. Once again, you had only 1 golfer. Sahith Theegala was your guy. Didn't do much this week. T60, $38,250. And Jake Knapp, once again for me, another T8. So by the way, Jake Knapp's season so far, he has only 1 tournament outside the top 10, and he was tied for 11th. Okay. So he added $515,000 to the pot. So that brings us to AVL's got $979,726. Matt is he's sitting pretty okay. He's got the number 1 money earner in our group. Jake Knapp has won so far $1.4 million this early in the season, by the way. My guy. Yeah. So I'm sitting at 1.559. And you've got me by $22,000, sitting at 1.581.
So I'm hanging on still.
You're hanging on by a thread. I'll be honest, Sahith the last 2 weeks has saved your bacon.
And where's AVL at?
AVL still hasn't cracked $1 million. So AVL's in 3rd. I'm in a very close second to your first place. And you're doing this with Luke Clanton having earned $0. So you're doing it all with 4 golfers.
He'll be there. Don't worry. Now, as we look ahead, so the field for the Genesis Invitational has not been finalized, but just looking at a quick glance here, for our personnel list here, I'm seeing only 5 names on the unofficial list right now, which includes Jake Knapp for you, Rico Hoey and Tom Hoagie for AVL. You've got Max Homa, and I've got my guy Thigala playing in the event. So, and that is another signature event. Okay, so a lot of money that's going to be passed out next week, and no cuts. I think there might be cuts since it's a Tiger event, but that's where we're at. I'm gonna keep going, and I think you'll see Luke Clanton's gonna knock off a win this year. Okay, you heard
A
it here
win?
first. A win. Yep.
A win.
I think he's gonna win before anybody else on our list.
Wait, hold on. This is being recorded, so we're gonna make this official.
Yeah, make a note, put it in your calendar. I think
So you're taking Luke Clanton versus the field. Our field will get a win.
I think Luke Clanton's going to win at the Myrtle Beach Classic tournament later this year.
What are we putting on this?
Well, you got to give me pretty good odds, but
oh no, I'll narrow the field. I say specifically Jake Knapp wins a tournament this year before Luke Clanton. I'll take one horse. You've got one horse, I've got one horse.
Okay, you got it. Bets on. Winner has to buy the loser some sort of upgraded podcast equipment. Or loser has to buy the winner. Whether it could be as simple as an XLR cable. Looking around. Okay, so especially with you moving into your new house, we'll call it a tripod or a mic stand or something. Okay, so something that's going to benefit the podcast.
All right, sounds good, man. I'm in.
Okay. All right, so we officially crested the 1 hour mark. We made it out of here alive without any major issues. I want to congratulate Anthony Kim yet again. This is probably one of the cooler wins that we've seen in a while on the PGA Tour. And I want to echo what you said about the picture of him walking up 18, and just describe the picture that you sent. You had said in the group chat, is there a cooler moment than this in sports? And all I said was Tiger Woods 2018 at the Tour Championship, because that was the last time I can remember it. But then one other one that I forgot about was the picture you sent of Phil Mickelson. And this was at Kiowa when he won the PGA Championship. Now, I think this specific picture is from coming down the stretch on the back 9. He sprayed his tee shot to the left. Yeah. He was hitting through this kind of channel of people, kind of like that Bubba shot with the trees and during the playoff at the Masters. And he had guys just hovering over him, and he hits this shot. And I think that's what this clip is from. But it's just another one where you don't get it in a lot of sports where people are able to get that close to the golfer, and they just break the security boundaries. Who cares? They just want to be marching along with their guy. So anyway, congrats to Anthony Kim. Congrats to Colin Morikawa. And we will talk more next week. We'll cover the Genesis Invitational. And hopefully we'll start playing a little bit of our own golf if the weather kind of keeps doing its thing.
I think we need to get out, not this weekend, but next.
Yep, you got it. We'll be doing it.
All right, buddy.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk next week.
All right, buddy. See ya.